Hola, Possums, and welcome to week 6 of Offensive Points game previews. Billy and I are going to run you through all the games for this week, guys we like, guys we don't like. Remember, there are a lot of bye weeks this week, so we're going to give you some guys that hopefully can fill in and get you through. But it's been an exciting season so far. We got through the preseason part of the season, and now we're into the actual football season. The injuries are mounting up. Some guys are coming back. So depending on where your team is, don't fret too much. I mean, if you're 0-5, do something and pray to whatever Lord, Sky Daddy, Savior you want to. But we're going to get you back on track here at Offensive Points. Billy, what's up?
Not much. Yeah, if you're 0-5, hopefully you're going to come up against somebody who has Nico Collins or somebody who's injured that, you can go up against and maybe get one easy dub. But it definitely is time to start making some moves. It's time to start making some trades. We're starting to actually see who's who and what's what, Joe. That's what week 5, week 6 is for. It's the who's who and what's what of football. So definitely time to start, getting back on track.
We spend the first 4 weeks just trying to calm people down and say, hey, it's sloppy, it's nonsense. We don't even know what's going on at this point. So we're here. We're in it.
Yeah. For sure. On YouTube, shout out to Ruru. It's good to see you in the chat. Saints rolling out a new quarterback this week. Can't wait to get to that game. That'll definitely be fun. Before we get to the actual football, Joe, I feel like we have to talk about the first coach fired in the National Football League, and that is Robert Saleh of the New York Jets. I mean, to be fair, kind of seemed like it was either going to end in a firing or a fist fight between Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. Firing was the way that they went, which is, I guess, okay. Joe, what was your immediate reaction to that?
I mean, it's just such a weird timing of everything because, he says Hackett's not calling plays anymore. And then 5 minutes later, he gets told that he's fired. It could be weird timing. It could be something else. I think Nathaniel Hackett is in the mob. I think it's Tulsa King style. I don't know how this man gets hired and keeps a job. I understand that Aaron Rodgers fights for him, but it's crazy, man. I mean, what have we seen from any of his offenses the last 2 years where he could even remotely be considered a good offensive coordinator? 3 years.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think everybody thought he was going to come in and bring Aaron Rodgers back to his, MVP status, but he is just not a good football player right now, Joe. And maybe we can get to something, but at the same time, he's old and he's not getting younger, and each of these games is hurting him more and more, and he clearly doesn't feel comfortable throwing the ball. And I don't think we've ever seen Aaron Rodgers throw back-to-back pick sixes like he did in that London game. I guess they had to fire Robert Saleh because of how the teams have been going the last couple of years. But if anybody got dealt a raw bad hand in the NFL, it's definitely him. I feel like his next stint as a head coach, which I'm sure he will get one, he will have a better opportunity than this. But I don't know. I get why they did it because they had to, but I just don't think this is going to help this football team. There is some definite holes, and I know they think that they're Super Bowl good, and we thought that in the preseason, but man, there's some glaring problems, and it starts with a quarterback.
It's been nasty. I mean, did you have that on your betting card? Robert Saleh being the first one?
I didn't, because I thought with Aaron Rodgers, they were going to be 4-1 right now. I thought they would be okay enough. He has thrown the same exact, well, not the same exact, but around the same amount of yards as Zach Wilson, if not less, in the first 5 games of last season. So you could blame Robert Saleh, the defensive guy, even though their defense is still top 5. But I guess because he couldn't do anything about the offense, I don't know. This is a concern, Joe, a very big concern. But
yeah, I think they were cooking with Davante Adams, and then Saleh was like, "No, we're not trading that," and they were like, "All right, peace." So hopefully, Davante Adams does not go to this team. I mean,
they said Aaron Rodgers didn't have any say in this. There's just no way that that's true.
No,
because the Jets have never fired a head coach midway through the season ever. So there's only one variable here that's different than the past seasons, and that would be Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, I'm thinking after that London game, had to go and be like, hey, do you want to win this season? We got to get rid of the coach. I just hate that that's what it is, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a very good football player anymore. I think it's over. And I know Josh is saying that all these Jets are washed, but I don't really blame the Jets. I really blame the quarterback here. Just what it
is. We'll see.
For sure. On YouTube, Fantasy Football Girl Advice says, howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Good to have you.
How about those Hoosiers? That's her profile picture. So how about it?
Hey, they're having a hell of a season so
6-0,
far.
right? Where did this
tied for 18?
Yeah.
Tied for 18 with Oklahoma and Kansas State. There's 3 18s in college football right now, Joe. It's fucked up. It's something we shouldn't be having. Ruger says what's going to be effed up is if Devontae goes and A-Rod retires midseason when they're cooked. I mean, yeah, that could definitely happen. And he says neither have the Saints, so I see this as an opportunity knocking. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where Devontae should go. I don't think it's either of those teams. Like, I don't think he's going to help the Jets and the Saints. I think they are more than a Devontae away from being good. I mean, not that they're not good, but I think it's the commies. I think it's the Washington Commanders. Yeah, I think they could use one more piece. Have the McLaurin, Luke McCaffrey, him. Like, I think they would be good to go with that team. I think that'd be good for their firepower, but we'll see. We'll see who trades.
I think, Andy Reid's he's an old guy. He's trying to get that three-peat. He's trying to make NFL history. Go get Devontae. Why not?
I don't hate it. The Chiefs never do it. So they haven't already made a move, so that makes me feel like they're just going to piece together and glue together the rest of their team and make this make sense. But
they're just great at getting these guys like that haven't played in a couple years, or no one else wants, and then call Antonio Brown up, see if he wants to be.
Yeah, why not? Juju Smith-Schuster, like, coming out of nowhere with 130 yards. Like, what? Like, where? How?
We did call that last podcast, though. I'm going to victory lap that because
I thought the knee was broken. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
But whatever. We're back. It's Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster. It's circa 2019 over here, 2020. Chiefs. All right. Let's get on the game previews, Joe. We got a lot to get through this week, but we got some fun games on the schedule. So let's get right to it. Thursday Night Football, 49ers versus the Seahawks. The 49ers, I don't know really what to make of this team, Joe. Jordan Mason is not good. Like, he's good enough to get you where you need to go, but he's not good because he is missing that, like, clutch gene, I guess. And that is going to be a problem, I feel, until Christian McCaffrey gets back, if he does come back.
He just doesn't catch the damn ball.
Well, yeah, and then he fumbles in a crucial spot. He was one of the most bet on anytime touchdown people last week. He could not get in the end zone. He couldn't get close. They started to, like, kind of use other running backs, not just him in the, like, I saw Garindo in there a couple. Like, there's just, I don't know, something about Jordan Mason. You still got to start him, obviously. But, like, I am seeing the cracks in the armor of Jordan Mason, and they do not look pretty. Brandon Ayuk, welcome to the league. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Joe, did you know Brandon Ayuk was on this team? I had no idea until he
no, they should give him a contract or something because he actually looks pretty good.
Kidding. Yeah, I mean, in a contract year, the year after getting the contract, he's finally shown up. Joe, it was good to see. He's finally gotten through the preseason, and now we've started real football. So good to see Brandon Ayuk. Welcome back to the league. George Kittle, solid as always. I think he is one of the few tight end targets this year that you can actually kind of agree with. Juwan Jennings, I think it's over. I think he's still going to have a couple games where he hits 100 yards and a touchdown, but I think those are going to be far and few and not happening as much. And then Debo, look, it was just a bad game. I don't know why it's not working, but it's not. And then Brock Purdy. I think he's a solid floor guy. I don't think he's ever going to win you a week, but he's never going to be the reason that you lost. Like, he's never going to be like a 10-point guy. He's always going to be like 15 to 22. He's going to be like a guy that, upper side, you're getting good things. But if he gets lower side, hopefully the rest of your team popped off. But he's not a bad thing. So Purdy, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Jordan Mason, those are the players from this team. Sorry, Juwan Jennings. It was fun. Pearsall, as soon as he comes back, I think might be the end of Jennings for relevancy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I'm very torn on this game because you have the divisional matchup. I always feel like 49ers Seahawks is pretty boring most of the time when we watch it. But the Seahawks have no pass rush and no defensive line now. I mean, Mafi's hurt, Byron Young's out, or Byron Murphy's out, Reek Woolen is out, Derek Hall's out, Losu's still out. I think Jordan Mason could have a hell of a game this week. So I know a lot of people are down on him. I do think he comes back, and I like Debo a lot this week too, to get back on track. So I like those two guys, but you're right. 49ers, start them all if you have them. You're not really sitting any of those guys. And then on the Seahawks side, I mean, we just talked about how they have no pass rush. So we're going to guess the 49ers are going to score fairly easily on this team. And the 49ers defense is, And so, I mean, honestly, fire up Geno, fire up Metcalf. Metcalf's awesome. I know Lockett got a little bit more involved last week. Did you see JSN trip those two defenders out on that Geno scramble? That was one of the coolest plays that I haven't seen in a long time. So, love them all. You're starting Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet can be used in the pinch, especially receiving. So, yeah, I like this whole team.
Yeah, it was kind of weird last week. Ken Walker, 8 targets, 7 balls caught. I was like, wait, he's doing the pass catching, but they didn't do any running. So, I mean,
Grubb we trust, man.
Yeah, he's definitely got this interesting. Yeah, this team is a weird one, Joe. I don't really know how else to put it. But I do think they will have a little bit. I think they'll be a little bit better this week. The Giants presented a weird team for them.
It was a weird matchup. I don't know. I have no faith in Lockett repeating anything. So
yeah, definitely.
I guess in a deep league you could use him. I don't know.
I think the 49ers are gonna win this game, but I mean, if they do, this division is gonna just about get weird on us.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks win because Jake Moody is out. R.I.P. Sorry, Mace. I know he's your boy, but yeah, I think Seattle's got it.
Cost them the game against the Giants. Theoretically, if they had a field goal kicker, they probably win that game. But yeah, if the 49ers win, they're going to be 3-3. Seattle's going to be 3-3, and if Arizona wins, they'll also be 3-3. I have no idea what team is good in this division or who even is going to win it. Like, this could be the 9-8 division, and I kind of don't know which one I think will win more.
I mean, you would assume San Francisco, but that's asking a lot.
I don't trust them. After getting beat by the Giants, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, San Francisco is favored by 3.5, so for whatever that may be worth. On to Sunday, we got another London game, Joe, and one that you were going to be having to wake up and actually pay attention to. So, Joe, how are your Bears going to do in London?
I think my Bears are going to do good, man. The Jags defense sucks. So for fantasy, fire everything up. I think Caleb has another strong showing. It'll be interesting to see how this team travels, being as young as they are. But I like Swift. Swift's having that resurgence. He's getting all of the carries. I know Roschon got the goal line stuff. In a pinch, you can start Roschon if you're really hurting, but I still don't trust it. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns every game, so be careful there. And then, Keenan Allen's just kind of a guy at this point out there. I think we see a big Rome Odunze game and a big DJ Moore game. So I think Swift, DJ Moore, and Odunze are your starts here. And then Cole Kmet, I don't know. There's just too many mouths to feed on this offense, and clearly they want to get the downfield passing game going. So Cole Kmet's going to get you 7 to 9 points, and, with the way tight end is, you might have to take that. But if you have someone else, I would start them.
Yeah, I'm really liking how the Bears are going right now. Like, they're like just a gritty team, and yeah. I like it. I don't know. Like, the fact that, Joe, they could have beaten the Panthers by more, but they're the ones that were salting the game away for like 4 or 5 minutes at the end of the game. When's the last time a Bears team could do that on offense? Like, that's crazy to me.
You're very right. Actually, last year we had several opportunities to keep running the score up, and Eberflus took his foot off the pedal way too early, and we ended up losing those games. So I'm glad he waited until we were 21 up to start relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was man, The Bears finally might have something here. Not saying they're going to win the whole thing, but like I do think they're a competitive team that you don't want to face. Like that's something that I think is true about the Bears. Like they're just like that weird team that you're like, I don't want to play them. Kind of like the Seahawks used to be there for a minute after Russell left. It's like Seahawks weren't very good, but they were good enough to scare the shit out of you. So I don't know. I do like that about the Bears right now. On to the Jaguar side of the ball, they finally got a win. Probably saved Doug Peterson's job at least for 1 week. I don't foresee them, even if they lose the next 2. I don't see them firing him in London. That's just like it's a trip that you don't want to fire somebody on. You just want everybody to kind of be chill, nobody get hurt, please, like whatever. But Trevor Lawrence, welcome back. 370 yards last week. I don't see that happening against the Bears. The Bears are very like drag you down into the mud on defense. So Trevor Lawrence can be sat. I'm sure you have somebody else that you can play. I would definitely play them, like Geno or something, for example. Tank Bigsby might be taking this job from Travis Etienne. That's kind of scary to think because a lot of people have invested a lot in Travis Etienne, but Bigsby just looks good right now. He's got the hot hand, and I think until that runs out, I hate to say it, but I mean the Etienne stock is way down, and unless he's going to be pass catching, which is what did get him points last week. You got Bigsby as the runner and him as the pass catcher. I hate having the guy in that pass catcher role because it just could be taken away at any moment, like as far as not needed or there's other people that are targeting, and I don't know. So we'll see. Bigsby's good to go. Etienne, I still think is good to go for this week. I think they're going to need him. Brian Thomas Jr. is the one on this football team right now. He's got to be started in all formats. I know a lot of people have been putting questions up about like who should I start, and it's between like him and Michael Pittman Jr. Why are we doing that? No, it's Brian Thomas. Like he's the guy right now. Michael Pittman's hurt this week, but still, like those type of questions are happening. BTJ is the guy to start on this team. Christian Kirk is the one you got to be worried about. He did have 88 yards last week, but they weren't pretty. I do think that, take away that 160-yard catch, that's it. It wasn't very good. So I don't know. For me this week, Joe, I'm starting Tank Bigsby. I'm starting Travis Etienne. I'm starting Brian Thomas Jr. And then I will start Evan Ingram because tight end's a hellhole. If that is your only option, if you picked up somebody else like Tucker Kraft, that is the way to go. Don't put Evan Ingram back in. But Kirk, I'm honestly not starting him, Joe. The Bears are pretty good on defense, and the way Christian Kirk's been playing, I could definitely see you waking up if you slept through the game 4 for 29 and nothing, no touchdowns or anything. I could definitely see that being the stat line, and you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you nailed it on the head there. But I mean, account me. Oh, first of all, I just want to say you're a couple years early on Trevor Etienne. But
I know it's next season. I've been doing some research for football for running backs, as you can see. That was a Freudian slip.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Evan Ingram, he's back. You got to play him. Brisker's out. He's still in the concussion protocol. So yeah. I think Ingram could actually have a pretty nice game here. I know TJ Edwards is decent in coverage, but he's not going to be able to shut that down completely. My only concern is when he comes back, does he take from Kirk or does he take from BTJ? I love what BTJ is doing, and count me in the minority,
Kirk.
Majority that didn't really realize what Brian Thomas Jr. was doing. I mean, he is absolutely killing it.
The thing is, he is kind of, I mean, he's kind of like Malik Neighbors-ish, like the light version. They both played at LSU, so it's not overly shocking, but there's just one play every game. Like this past week, he had the 85-yard touchdown. Just any moment of the game, Trevor Lawrence can launch one of those balls that never usually gets caught, and BTJ catches it and takes it. And that you can't leave on your bench because, A, he's getting the targets. He's got the biggest share on the team. And he also is good for a big play every now and then. And that's a guy that you have to have out there at all times. He should be, like, if you have your roster set up to where there's like 2 wide receivers and a flex, he should not be the flex. He should be the wide receiver 2. And then whoever else you've been putting in wide receiver 2, unless it's somebody really, really good like Nico Collins or something, like that should be the guy that you're deciding, I don't know, who should I put in here? Because I think BTJ is good to go for the whole season now, Joe. He's clearly the one on this team, and it's awesome to see for fantasy and dynasty, but like it's kind of scary for Christian Kirk because might be spelling the end of the Kirk era.
Yeah, terrifying for Christian Kirk. I am excited to see this offense with Ingram back because I think they could take another step forward. I'm a little bit leery on Bigsby just because, I mean, Etienne's got the shoulder injury, and that really could have been a reason why he wasn't getting those carries last week, even though I think Bigsby looks awesome. I mean, he's leading the league in yards per carry, so fire him up, but I'm just worried how that's going to work out.
I just this is just always how I feel, Joe. When there's a running back that just eyeball test looks better than the other one, they're going to go with the one that just looks better. It's just a science thing for me, Joe. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how I do my rookies. You know that too. I'm always like, this is the guy. And then I don't know, man. It scares me. He does pass the eye test, though. Looks great. It's because I have to start him this week, Billy, and that's why I'm freaking out. So I'm like, I just know
what sucks this is where more
Etienne gets 30 carries.
You have Etienne on your team, and then you watch a 65-yard run, and you're like, "Fuck, Etienne's back!" And then you're like, "Oh no, that's Bigsby. That stinks." And it's like you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to. I'm not gonna say the word, but you don't want to be taken advantage of by having the running back that's not the special one on the team. Ruguru puts in the chat, BTJ or Mooney this week. Okay, I like it. I'm going BTJ. It's not that I don't trust Mooney. I just think Mooney had a really good game. Mooney is going against the Panthers.
I know. If Mooney didn't have the knee injury right now, I would choose him, but I'm going to go Mooney anyway. I think Jalen Johnson matches up against BTJ probably pretty well. I know BTJ's got the size difference, but Johnson's scrappy, so give me Mooney. We're going to disagree on that one.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry,
well, there you go, Rue. You have two sides of the coin. I'm just saying you don't want BTJ on your bench. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just me personally. I don't know if that's for your flex spot or not, but like I just can't have BTJ on my bench anymore. All right. Bears win the game, Joe. Jaguars are in a tailspin. I don't care that they won last week.
Yeah. I hope Doug Peterson gets fired in London.
I just don't think they would do it with back-to-back London games.
I can't believe they're doing back-to-back London games, dude.
After the second. I mean, it's probably better for the players. They don't have to, get
That's kind of suck for who they're playing next week, though, because the Jags are going to be all used to the time difference. They're going to be well-rested.
It's the Patriots, Joe. I don't think the Patriots I don't think it matters.
They did that on purpose.
For sure. All right. Well, speaking of the Patriots, we're on to the first game of the 12 o'clock Central window, Texans versus the Patriots. Joe, we have a new quarterback in the league. His name is Drake May, getting his first start against the Texans. This is one of those baffling coaching moves because why didn't we start him against the Dolphins instead of against the Texans? Like, the Texans are pretty dang good, and they have a really good pass rush. Versus the Dolphins that don't have a pass rush and they are in a literal, like, circling the drain moment until whatever. I'm not a coach, Joe. I don't know much about football, I guess. But one of those makes sense and the other one doesn't at all. You're sending them out there. Whatever. On to the Patriots. Look, we don't know what we're in for this week. Drake May might get out there and light it up, and you're going to be happy that you started Jalen Polk or whoever. But I'm not going to tell you with a straight face to start any of them. Ramondre did pick up an injury today. He's questionable. I still think he's good to go. And kind of exactly what I said happened, Joe. Ramondre was the one. They didn't start him, quote unquote, but he did play and got the bulk of the work because I guess that's just what the plan was. And I do think with a rookie involved, I think there is a chance that he could get involved and get the running game involved. So Ramondre is still a guy I would start, but I mean, if you trust anybody else on this team, good for you. I can't. I mean, I'm sure there's a good DraftKings play in here, but probably not much to do fantasy-wise.
Yeah. No, it's hard to trust any of these guys. Jalen Polk had the touchdown call back last week. He played a ton of the snaps, so I think with Drake May in there, we know he likes Polk. That could be a good one. Now that they made the switch, if you're in like a super deep league, Kayshon Boutte, I hate to say his name, but Drake May targeted him a ton in camp. That was like his guy in camp. So wouldn't be the worst thing to just add if you're in an insanely deep league, which kind of wild. but I do like it. And then on the Houston side, obviously Nico's out. That sucks. I just want to pour one out for Nico for a while because that's going to hurt a lot of teams. You got Diggs there. Diggs obviously is a must start at this point. I think you have to start him. And then Tank Dell, who everyone is so excited about in the preseason and everything, is going to be your two. So you can start Tank Dell finally. Go for it. It's hopefully it's better than it has been. Dalton Schultz, I think you can consider him, but I thought with Dell out last week or 2 weeks ago that he would get a little bit more play than he did. I just don't think Stroud looks his way a whole lot. He's going to get you a touchdown though. He's a red zone guy, so that's where I would go with Schultz. I'm not expecting big yardage or a big game at all, but he could be serviceable. And then the running backs. You can pick up Xavier Hutchinson. We saw Mechie look pretty good in the preseason. They might try to flaunt him for some trade bait situations. So maybe he gets some run too in a game that they should handle pretty easily. And then on the running game, I mean, Mixon's still not practicing. Dameon Pierce is out again, or is he back this week?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah. So
Ugumwale week.
Yeah. Ugumwale for sure. Fire him up. He's scored over 15 the last 2 games. He can be trusted in a flex at this point. So Texans win.
Yeah, Texans win. Even though it seems to be every time they give somebody like a touchdown favorite, that team struggles and the other team wins. But I just don't see it this week. I mean, unless Drake May comes in and has an all-time game, I don't know how that happens. But yeah, Texans win 5-1. Going to be one of the top AFC teams. All right, before we get to the next one, Ruguru says Pickens, Terry McLaurin, Neighbors, Mooney, BTJ, play 3 or play 4 and sit Brees. Well, Neighbors, obviously. For me, it's BTJ and T-Mac. I mean, I know you're probably having Mooney in there, but I can't start Pickens. I mean, not with a straight face.
No, I'm not starting Pickens. My only concern is BTJ and McLaurin. If neither of them catch a big ball, I mean, McLaurin's not getting enough targets at this point he's definitely ascending. That just makes me nervous having 2 big players.
They're playing the Ravens this week. Maybe it's a sit T-Mac week and do the Neighbors, Mooney, BTJ, and Brees. Maybe that's the play.
Yeah. But the Ravens' pass defense sucks, so I don't know. They've been shutting down the run, and Brian Robinson's hurt, so I don't know.
It's good advice, Joe. I like that a lot.
I like Mooney. I mean, I think what we saw is he's essentially kind of like 1A, 1B with London. I mean, that's who Kirk's looking for. We know Kirk's going to throw. Should be a fairly good game against Carolina. I mean, the question is, do they just run it? Because they absolutely could just run it with Algier and Bijan. So I'll go with you. I'll go BTJ.
Okay.
You just wanted me to admit that.
I just wanted you to say it out loud, but whatever. I'm not here trying to be that guy. Hope that helps, Ruguru. On to the next game, Commanders-Ravens. We just kind of mentioned it a second ago. Commander side of the ball, it's a start almost everybody situation. I mean, Jayden Daniels obviously is one of the most fun stories of the football league so far this year. I'm definitely in on the Commanders as a team. Really like them a lot. Terry McLaurin, I think, is a good start. I just still believe that eventually the Ravens defense is going to be the Ravens defense again. I know it doesn't seem to be happening, but they did just go against the Browns and they cleaned them out pretty good, and I consider them a pretty decent defense. So maybe what do I know? Jayden Daniels, good to go. Terry McLaurin, he's going to need a big ball, but he's still good to go in my book. Austin Eckler, also good to go. Brian Robinson, is a little banged up, and he's not going to get enough, he's not getting enough touches really to make the yardage make sense, but he is the goal line back. But Jeremy McNichols is also the goal line back, so it's really just like a pick your poison kind of offense. It's not exactly fantasy friendly just yet. That's why I think they need Devontae on their team so he could start funneling in some of these balls.
That would be a nasty offense with Devontae. All right, I'm for it. He can go to the commies. And the Marlon Humphrey was didn't practice today too. So fire up McLaurin. I think that could be pretty awesome. On the Ravens side, I mean, the Commanders' defense is not good. I'm sorry if anyone tries to defend it. It's the offense keeping this team in games. So Derrick Henry absolutely must start. You're not even thinking twice about that. Justice Hill, I don't know how much. Justice Hill might actually be a pretty good flex this week, actually, when I think about that some more.
I think so.
Yeah. Rashad Bateman's out, so he could kind of catch some or get some of that passing work on there. Zay Flowers is obviously playing, and then between Likely and Andrews, man, what is your take on this? Because Andrews did something.
I dropped Andrews. Dropped Andrews, and I'm not. Had to start Likely because I had a couple Laportas on bye, so I had to start Likely, and like thank God he scored 2 touchdowns, but like how in the world are you ever going to trust that? I mean, it was just one of them was a miracle, Paul. Like that was a miracle that he completed that pass. I don't want any tight end from this team at all, and that's just how it's going to be this season for me. Everybody else, I want that to be somebody else's problem. That's why I dropped Andrews, because that's clogging another roster that's not mine, because you're never going to know when to start them, and you're never going to get that price back, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're past getting the price back. The crazy thing is Likely is running all the passing routes. So, like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, do you start Likely like in a deeper league where you don't have an option, or do you run it with?
If there's a bye week situation, yes, that is the only reason I'm starting Likely on purpose.
Yeah, because that was probably the play of the year so far, that Likely caught his other touchdown. So
yeah, no, I had him in a couple of Laporta leagues, and thank God it worked out to where he scored 2 touchdowns, because like at first I was like, man, here we go again. Like, it doesn't make any sense that he can't score. And yeah, so that bailed out there. But yeah, I can't start Andrews with a straight face either.
Yeah.
I used to like him, but it's just so sad. It's just over. And nobody knows it except for the fantasy people, apparently, because everybody's like, what's wrong with the tight ends? It's like, well, they're not targeting them. So it's kind of obvious what's happening with the tight ends.
I'm not ready to quit Andrews yet. You can't convince me.
Yeah, well, we're at week 6, and I have buried him in my backyard already. So unfortunately, I am done with him. Commanders win this game. I love the Commanders.
Yeah, the Ravens win this game because they're gonna humble the Commanders a little bit. But I do like.
Well, what's funny is like this is literally like, you know, a lot of people are comparing Jane Daniels to Lamar Jackson, and like this is them going against each other. So it's kind of like the older brother smacking around the younger brother. So we'll see if that's what happened, or if there's, you know, the thing about before we move on to the next game, just like Jane Daniels, man, he feels like he's been in the league for 10 years. Yeah. Are older quarterbacks back, Joe? Like coming out of the draft? Like I think I'm back in on old quarterbacks coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can at least think that maybe the Falcons did the right thing by drafting Penix there, because he does have that experience.
Yeah, like I'm ready. I'm almost ready to see him. If Kirk hadn't thrown for 500 yards, I'd be like, what are they holding back with Penix? But yeah, we can't bench Kirk now, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited, and he's 2 years older, Jane Daniels, than Anthony Richardson. So all you Anthony Richardson people out there that are ready to give up on him, he's not fully formed yet. I know that it's crazy, but young players, sometimes they have to get older and better as time goes on. All right. On to the Browns versus the Eagles. I think this is going to be very easy on one side of the ball, and that is the Browns. I don't trust them at all. Like, I don't know how you can watch what Deshaun Watson's doing out there and feel good about it. They still haven't announced that he's benched, so you've got another week of this disaster class. I'm gonna be real, Joe. Other than Amari Cooper, who I don't even like that, because even though he's getting 10 targets a game, he only can catch 4 because their passes aren't very good. Other than Amari Cooper, I don't like anybody on this team. None.
Yeah.
Not even the running backs, because it's such a mishmash of running backs too.
Yeah, and you never know what they're going to do to deploy them each week. No, I'm with you. If Amari Cooper plays, start him, but it's sad.
That's it. That's the only one I trust. Now, if they announce Jameis Winston starting like Friday, now we can start at everything I'm saying right now is wrong, and this is why this podcast kind of sucks to do on Wednesdays, because we don't always know what's going to happen on Friday. If Jameis Winston's playing, it's a whole new ball game, because that man throws the ball up like nobody's business, and we could be back in business with this team. But as it stands now, Joe, I don't know how you could start anybody with a straight face.
And I don't know how the Browns as an organization haven't made that decision yet. I mean, Deshaun Watson's such an asset, and then you have Jameis Winston, who everybody loves. He brings everybody together. He lightens the mood. It would definitely be a good PR stunt, and it would definitely be a good fantasy football stunt too.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So, on the Eagles side, Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit both hurt. Fire everybody up. We get A.J. Brown back this week. All signs are that him and Devontae are going to play, so you're absolutely getting them back in your lineup. I think this hurts Goddard a little bit. And then I know the Browns are pretty formidable on that line, but Myles Garrett's going to be out. So Saquon, you're not benching him at all, but he should have another monster game. I know some people get a little timid when they see the Browns on the schedule, but yeah, start your guys. I'm a little worried about Goddard, but you're still starting him.
Yeah, not this year. I'm not worried about the Browns as much as I used to be. Not last year. After seeing what the Commanders did, the thing is, Joe, anytime the Commanders do something good against you on defense, I'm like, okay, this defense can be had, because there's a rookie helming this offense, and it looked like a guy who's been in the league 10 years against them, and that's concerning to me. Yeah. Eagles win this game. It's good. Neither of them are even on the injury report, Joe. It's just so happy to see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both back.
Thank God. That IR spot is finally free.
I was starting to get a little why didn't they just put him on IR if he was going to be out 4 weeks anyway? Why didn't they just put him on there? But then he comes back. This is the fourth week, so I mean, it was ended up being a good call after all. Eagles win. I don't think this is going to be close. If the Eagles lose this somehow, time to start having some real questions. We need to be answering some real questions about this football team.
I think the Eagles are going to find a way to make it close, but they're ultimately going to win, because they always do.
Sad to say, but I mean, maybe it is what it is. All right, next on the list, we got the Cardinals versus the Packers. I am very excited about this. The Cardinals are one of the failing upwards teams in the NFL right now, because every week you don't know why they're not winning the football game, because you're like, man, what are we doing, guys? Why can't we get this going? But they pulled one out against San Francisco because they didn't have a kicker, and sometimes that's just what you need to do. Kyler Murray's obviously a start. He showed off his speed last week. That was fun to see. It was funny to see him from the 40-yard line. He started celebrating because he knew he was going to score a touchdown. James Conner is still good to go. No Trey Benson work at all last week. If he was that injured, I don't remember seeing that, Joe. Maybe I blanked that one out in my mind, but I don't remember seeing him being out of the game, so that's kind of weird, but that's what happened. As far as the wide receivers go, I mean, Trey McBride's an obvious start. As far as the wide receivers go, I don't know what really to make of it. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a really good football player. You couldn't really tell by the way that this has been going so far, because 1 week, against the Rams, he scores those 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and you're like, holy shit, this guy is just as good as Malik Neighbors. And then last week happens, and they win the football game. He gets 7 targets, but only caught 2 of them for 36 yards. And it's I don't know. I don't love that a lot. So I'm not saying to sit Marvin Harrison, but I think it's time that we start raising our eyebrows, Joe. It's an eyebrow-raising moment, I think, if things don't go well this week. So I think you can start Kyler, James Conner, Trey McBride, and then past that, I mean, Michael Wilson's probably good in a pinch. He doesn't really score touchdowns, but it does seem like he comes up with some big balls every now and then. And then Marvin Harrison's a start, but if he's not good this week, it is time to start raising some questions, I would say.
No, I completely agree with you. And this whole offense, honestly, man, is very worrisome to me. When they lost another offensive lineman last week, it just looks sloppy. It looks bad. They get Zay Jones back, which is I think Zay Jones is an improvement over the other guys they have on this roster. So brighter days maybe ahead, at least if they can get some sort of guy that worries the defense at all on the other side. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, don't love the Cardinals right now. It's a weird. They need an actual offensive coordinator in there. I'm sorry, I don't know who their offensive coordinator is off the top of my head, but it needs to be better.
Yeah, no, the other shoe needs to fall for this offense because it just looks bad. Onto the Packers side, Jordan Love coming back. You're starting Jordan Love, especially against this Arizona defense. Start Josh Jacobs. I know he's not quite giving us what we want at this point, but he is getting the work. So I think you got to start him more as a flex guy. If you have a better option, I doubt it at this point, but you could start him over it. I wouldn't fight you. Where it gets interesting here are the pass catchers. We had Romeo Doubs on a one-game suspension after being the squeaky wheel. We know what happens with squeaky wheels. They usually get fed. So I like Romeo Doubs this game. Christian Watson may or may not play at this point. Looks like we dodged a bullet there, but this dude just really can't stay healthy here. Jayden Reed is an awesome possum of the week. You're obviously starting Jayden Reed, but you are playing him in every DraftKings lineup that you have. He's priced lower than the top tier guys and is very good. And then we get Tucker Kraft, who, I don't know, Luke Musgrave returned to practice. Tucker Kraft looked damn good, but we've seen it out of Musgrave too. What happens, Bill? I don't know here, but I like Dobbs. I like Reed. Those are your two guys there. Everyone spent a ton of money on Wicks. They went out and blew their draft waiver to get Wicks. I like him too, but until I see anything, it's Jayden Reed on this offense, and I do think Dobbs has a good game this week too. Dobbs, I can never say.
Dude, you know what the problem with Wicks is, Joe? It's a pretty easy problem. He doesn't catch the ball. I mean, the balls are great. They're thrown right to him, and they're catchable, but he just doesn't catch them. So to be a good wide receiver in the National Football League, you got to catch the balls. So, yeah, that's proving to be an issue. If you can't catch, and there's no point in you being out there because need people that can catch the ball.
That's true.
I think Green Bay wins this game, but Packers are not Packers. The Cardinals are slippery, is what I would say.
They're very slippery. You're right. I mean, they seem to just trip and fall up. It's really weird.
I know.
Green Bay winning.
It's the failing upwards of the National Football League. All right, on to a divisional matchup that's near and dear to Ruguru's heart: the Bucks versus the Saints. Joe, are you ready for some Saints action with our new quarterback?
Spencer Rattler, baby. You're not starting Spencer Rattler. I would advise you to sit Chris Olave. I would advise you to sit Rashid Shaheed. Alvin Kamara is a little bit beat up. He got some rest today. So start him. You're obviously starting Alvin Kamara. If he does sit, I mean, they got Kendre Miller back. He's a good ad. If he's on your waiver wire, you should definitely keep an eye out for him. I don't know what kind of workload he's going to get coming back on here. And we know Dennis Allen was all pissed off about it beforehand. So, but really outside the running backs, I mean, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Taysom get a lot of work in this one. Well,
that should be one of the awesome possum plays of the week is Taysom Hill, because you just know when they're not going to trust Rattler down near the goal line. They're going to have Taysom Hill in there. He's probably going to either catch one, pass one, or run one. So definitely think Taysom Hill's a good, awesome possum.
I'll make Taysom an awesome possum. I hadn't even thought about that until we talked about it just now. So
telling you, I mean, I am excited to see Rattler in this game. I'm like, I think the Bucks are a good defense to go against if you're new. But I am a tad nervous for him in his first start. Just a smidge. It is in the Saints though, so
I got to shout out Rug real quick. He said he's going to find us when Spence lights it up, which, I mean, I think we like Spencer Rattler quite a bit. I just don't think this is the game or the opportunity to where I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we will see, but yeah, maybe give it a week. I do think you can still play Olave. I think he's going to lean on his guys, but I get what you're saying.
It's probably going to be A.T. Perry, man. You know they're going to elevate one of these down low guys, and somehow he's going to get the work. So
I guess you're not wrong about that. On the Bucs side of the ball, Baker Mayfield is a solid start. I like the way that he's playing this year. He's not overly doing it, but he is, playing a little cautious. And I think that's the Baker Mayfield that's good. You let him do these dink and dunks, and then you just chuck one down the field. Seems to be how he is cooking. Rachaad White was back. It was a lot from one run, which kind of skewed the stats a little bit, made you think he did a whole lot more than he actually did in the game. Bucky Irving was great. He had that fumble, but they still ended up giving it to him again. The problem is, Joe, they just keep eating each other's work, and I don't think that that's going to be good for starting either one of them and feeling great. I had to put Bucky in a flex spot last week. I didn't love it. He didn't end up getting a whole lot, but not bad. Godwin and Evans are your guys. I definitely like them a whole lot. I think that's probably it. I mean, Cade Otton, I like at times, and the way that tight end is working this year, maybe 6 to 7 points is good enough to just get you through the week. But like you're going to be touchdown dependent on him having a big week, because I think that's all you got. But Godwin, Evans, Baker, and then Rachaad White and Bucky are probably good for flex only. Like that has to be not one of your starters, preferably.
Yeah, please. I hope they're not your starters, but it's a weird time of the year, but it's definitely not conducive for fantasy football if they're just cannibalizing each other.
No.
Something's got to
It was also a weird game, to be honest. Like that was the other thing about this game against the Falcons last Thursday. It was just a strange game overall. So, yeah. I mean, like Baker threw for 180 yards, Kirk threw for 500, and the Falcons won in overtime. Like that's the kind of football math that makes you go like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what game are we playing? One person throws for 500 yards and the other throws for 180, and it was a very tight game.
It's crazy.
It is. Sorry, Rue. I think the Bucs win this week, though. As much as I love the Saints, I think that Spence is going to need a week to get going.
I'm sorry, even more, Rue. I know the Bucs are going to win this week. So,
plus, let's be honest, they're winning for the hurricane victims. So if the Saints win, you're against hurricane victims. That's Tampa Bay's got to win.
I agree.
All right, the last game in the 12 o'clock window is Colts Titans. This game is going to be playing in hell, because this is not a game I want to watch in any way, shape, or form. Both these teams, even Flacco, like I don't love it without. I'll just do the Colts because like they're just a whole ass mess. Flacco, he looks great at times, but then there's just certain times where I'm just scratching my head. He threw for 350 yards, which I'm just who, what, why, how? Like I just don't get it because Joe Flacco's extremely old. But without Michael Pittman, I'm guessing Josh Downs is good to go. Alec Pierce is a DFS play that it should not be a real world play, in my opinion. But I think AD Mitchell and Josh Downs, I actually feel really good about. And then on the offense or on the running side of the ball, Sermon is the starter, but he didn't look great. And then Tyler Goodson actually might be a decent flex play. He was the pass catcher out of the backfield. Kind of liked his play. So Flacco good to go. Sermon, desperation. Tyler Goodson in a flex. Josh Downs and AD Mitchell. That's probably all I feel great about, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you got to watch
feeling great, honestly, is stretch.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Downs popped up on the injury report again, too. Anthony Richardson's back. I mean, do they make that change? Like, I feel like they should stick with Flacco and just let
just for the time being. Just for the time being.
Yeah, just here's how you play quarterback, dude. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be. You're right. It's a game from hell because we get Will Levis. He was announced the starter. This Colts defense has been pretty horrendous this whole time. They're going to be down Kenny Moore, it looks like, again. But I don't know. You're starting Pollard. Pollard's an automatic start for you. And then you get Tyjae Spears can be used in a flex spot if you need it at running back. And then the wide receivers, I don't know. Should they be targeting DeAndre Hopkins more? I don't understand why Levis is having so much trouble with this. And I also think that Mason Rudolph is a fantastic pickup if you're in a 2-quarterback league. I've been grabbing a couple spots.
Except he looked like ass in that game.
He
that was
did, man, but he wasn't expecting to start. If we get like a week of practice under this dude's belt, I think we'll be okay. But I mean, honestly, you'd have to really be down to start these Titans receivers right now. I mean, I like Calvin Ridley. I like the thought of DeAndre Hopkins, but we're just not seeing it on the actual field. And then, Chig Okonkwo has actually been fairly good when it comes to tight end this year. So I think you can start Chig. I would sit the other two, and then it's really just the running back.
Yeah. I think the Colts win this game. I can never pick Will Levis to win a football game. Just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if Flacco plays, it's the Colts. If Richardson plays, flip a coin.
I still think it's the Colts. I even between those two,
Downs and Pittman, like I don't know what you do.
He's just going to chuck 30 balls to Alec Pierce. He's going to catch one of them, but that one probably will be a touchdown. All right. We have a question on YouTube. Thoughts on starting Tyler Nubin at DB this week? I have actually been loving Nubin with the Giants this year. He's gotten 8 tackles 2 weeks ago. I think he got 9 tackles last week and a tackle for loss. I like how they're deploying him, and against the Bengals, I think it would be a perfect time to get him involved, and he's going to be getting some tackles. I think they're going to be at least trying to pick on him a little bit because of his age. I actually think Nubin's a perfect start this week.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's playing 100% of the snaps. You can't say that for a lot of safeties right now, so absolutely start him up.
Plus, there's going to be a lot of passing. You got a decent tight end in this game. He's got to be in your lineup for, the foreseeable future until we see something different. Slow start of the season, but now that we've gotten going, we know who's who and what's what, Joe. That's what we're doing now.
Yep.
Okay. On to the 3:00 window. We have the Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. Another game born in hell. This is going to be a defensive matchup. Let's be honest. There's not going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I get if you have a Denver Bronco, you probably are hating life right now. I'm here to tell you that I'm not here to make you feel any better about it. Javonte might be good to go as the only person, but look, the Chargers defense is a lockdown defense. So to say that team's going to allow anything like that, I don't know. I just feel like Harbaugh is going to spit up and chew up and spit out Bo Nix, and I think it's going to be another 100-yard passing game. So I don't really like any of the pass catchers in this one.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how they won that game. I really don't. The Chargers side
defense.
Yeah, I mean Herbert's still beat up. I don't know why you would start Justin Herbert at this point. It's not like there aren't other quarterbacks out there. And then, JK, start him. It's going to be tough sledding, but, the Broncos have lost a couple of guys, so that'll probably be okay. Gus is still dealing with a high ankle sprain. I'm really praying we see a little bit of Kamani Vidal at some point. I'd shoot like a 4th-round pick out for him in a dynasty and see if someone will move off of him. And on the pass catcher side, I mean, Quentin Johnson, he's been doing it. We don't trust it. So I don't know. And you're not starting any of those tight ends. So JK is the only player you're starting in this game.
Yeah. I've seen some people drop Quentin Johnston, Joe. It took 1 week. Yeah. A 1 week and a bye week, and people are done. So
yeah.
Sorry that he's gone, but not forgotten. Ruger says, would you play Surtain? Only if you have to play a cornerback, because he is very dependent on an interception at this point.
I don't know how much passing actually happens in this entire game.
Well, that's the other issue, is I don't really think this is going to be a pass game. So I don't really think there will be many opportunities to even intercept the ball, because that's the one thing I think Harbaugh is kind of going into the season doing, is I don't want any mistakes made from the quarterback, and I don't want any fumbles to happen. So I think that we're not going to be seeing – I don't know. This would not be a week that I'd play Surtain and feel good about it.
I agree.
That's just personally. Chargers win. I think they had 2 weeks to prepare for Bo Nix. If you don't win, it says a lot.
Give me Denver. Give me the home team.
You're believing in the Broncos, the defense anyway.
Yeah. They've been putting it on paper, man.
I'm proud of you. All right, they have snuck some not great stuff in this late window. Steelers Raiders is next up. This is a good get back game. We don't know who the starter is for the Steelers, by the way. I mean, Mike Tomlin's been talking up Russell Wilson, and I don't love that. But if he does play, I guess, I don't know. I don't really like Justin.
Dude.
He was, but like, how can you go away from Justin Fields? Even though I think we kind of saw why you can't play Justin Fields against what happened last week. Look, I'm going to give this the old, it depends on who's starting at quarterback. If it's Justin Fields, I think you're good starting Justin Fields and Najee. If it's Russell Wilson, I think you're good to start Najee. I would not start, I don't know about Russell Wilson. And then as far as the pass catchers go, I don't trust any of them right now other than Freiermuth.
Yeah, Muth's kind of the guy. I would not start Pickens if Wilson plays. You can start him desperately if Fields plays. The problem is this matchup is so enticing for the Steelers.
It is. It's very enticing. I know.
I mean, Najee's probably going to have his best game yet because, I mean, I know Warren practiced today limitedly. So there's a chance he's back. But, I mean, they lost Christian Wilkins. This whole team, I mean, it's not good. They don't have any heart to go play. So I like Najee. I like Muth. And I'm just praying that Fields gets to stick with it there. That's pretty much.
That would be nice, but I don't know. The Cowboys game was a perfect antithesis of like why I don't trust the Steelers. And that's what that exact game is what's going to happen to him in the playoffs, by the way. They look like they're going to win the whole time. And then they lose because one dumb drive. And Dak looks like a hero when it's like, this game wasn't like this. It shouldn't have felt like this anyway.
That was a really bad game to watch.
It was. There's also a delay, too. That made it even worse. It was rough.
Yeah, I stayed up watching it. I was like, why am I still awake right now? Like, this is dumb. All right, Raiders. So Aiden O'Connell is your starter this week. Zamir White missed. So Alexander Madison, he was a little beat up at the end of last game, but he's going to be your starter most likely. You're not playing him against the Steelers. It would, maybe if you're in a tournament, like a deep tournament on DraftKings, you consider it. Devontae Adams is out. Obviously, he's not playing for the Raiders anymore. And you got Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker here as your receivers. I love Trey Tucker. He had his best games last year with Aiden O'Connell as the quarterback. I think he gets loose for one on this game, but it's still going to be tough sledding. And then Jacoby Myers, I mean, he's getting anywhere from 10 to 15 points a game. Again, I think it's a tough matchup, but I don't think you can shut down the role that Jacoby Myers plays. He's more that possession guy, so he's always going to get some stuff. And then Brock Bowers is your start. It'll be interesting to see, where he's at with Aiden O'Connell, but I mean, he's just been killing it. He's tight end one. He's going to stay tight end one. You're not sitting Brock Bowers at all. But give me Trey Tucker.
Okay, that's fair enough. Steelers win this game. Just defense alone wins this one. Ruguru puts in the chat, Freiermuth or Tucker Kraft. I am all in on Kraft.
If Musgrave plays, you still going Kraft?
Toothpaste is out of the tube, my friend. Now that we've seen what Kraft can do, I don't think we can put him back. But then again, I said that about Isaiah Likely, and we see what situations ended up there.
Well, not only that, but we said this about Musgrave last year. Like, the toothpaste is out. Tucker Kraft's hurt. He's the guy. And then they're flip-flopping this year. So, I don't know. I would go Muth. It's not going to be pretty, but
that's fair.
If Musgrave doesn't play, definitely go Kraft.
Yeah, I just feel like the pass catchers on this team, on the Packers, it's Jaden Reed and then Tucker Kraft, Musgrave, and then we go back to other wide receivers. That's just how I feel personally. Because there's no running backs catching passes on this team. Emmanuel Wilson's useless out there. Kind of fell back to earth. Some were saying that Emmanuel Wilson was better than Josh Jacobs. I personally didn't ever buy into that, but some were saying it. And I'm glad that those people aren't, on this podcast. But we on to the America's Game of the Week, the Lions versus the Cowboys. Rematch of the controversial game last year. I actually can't wait for this one. This one's actually going to be a good game in my opinion. Joe, how do you feel about the Lions in this game?
The Lions, so Micah Parsons is being smart and taking it slow with his ankle. They lost DeMarcus Lawrence. They lost Marshawn Nealon last week. They have absolutely nobody on that line that's going to stop and or pass rush on Jared Goff. So the Lions are going to come in here and they are going to run the ball with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So they are going to have absolute monster games. Amon-Ra is going to be your chain mover here. And then, I mean, Overshown's been pretty good. So I could see Laporta struggling again in this one. Do you like J-Mo in this matchup?
Sure.
I don't think they need him.
I mean, they don't, but I mean,
that's what's hard for me because I mean, you're starting Goff, you're starting Gibbs, you're starting everyone. J-Mo, if you're in I don't know, man, I like it, Billy. He's on my team in a lot of places. I just don't trust it because we already saw one of those games when he doesn't get that touchdown. We see what he does. So
that's true.
You know what? Fuck it. Start J-Mo.
I just think he's kind of a lottery pick on your team. It's like the old. I know I'm bringing it back to when we first started playing fantasy, but like Tyrell Williams. Like every time you didn't start him, he was going 4 for 112 and a touch, and you were like, "Damn it, again on my bench with this." And that's just the J-Mo experience. But I don't know. I think he's better this year as far as like he didn't have to have the long ball anymore. So I'm more in than
it just worries me because I just assume at some point Laporta is going to get going, and then we know who Amon-Ra is.
That's true.
We know it's just a wild offense. I can't believe they can support all these guys, but hell, they have been so far. So start everyone.
Okay. On the Cowboys side of the ball, Dak is a total wild card. He's probably still starting him in most leagues. I think against the Lions, he's going to need to be on it like he was last week against Steelers. 350 yards against the Steelers is nothing to sneeze at, though, Joe. Like that actually was a pretty good game last week. Rico Dowdle is the one on this team. There's still going to be a market for a running back next season, so don't get attached to your Rico Dowdle shares. I would highly recommend trading him towards the end of the season if you're not competing, because this job is going to be someone else's in the near future. But for this season alone, non-dynasty related, Rico Dowdle is a good guy to have as your one. The number one wide receiver on this team, Joe, Jalen Tolbert. No, I'm just kidding. It's CeeDee Lamb. But still, Tolbert showed some good things last week. 7 for 87 and a touchdown, which was pretty exciting. He had the big catch for like 50 yards, which was cool. But I think CeeDee Lamb's good to go. Ferguson's good to go. And Tolbert is good to go in this game. I know a lot of people have been asking about KaVontae Turpin, and I get it, but I don't trust it. I know I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, so it wouldn't shock me if Turpin's like more involved than normal, but I don't think I trust it yet. So CeeDee Lamb, Tolbert, Ferguson, those are the only ones I feel great about.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think that if you try to start Turpin, I mean, to throw another name from the past at you, is Tavon Austin. He was awesome, and then you'd start the little gadget guy, and then nothing. So I think, KaVontae Turpin, unless you're in an absolutely deep league, I wouldn't touch it. And I do think Rico Dowdle gets absolutely stood up this week. I don't think the Cowboys really get any sort of rushing game at all. So, I mean, hell, maybe Turpin could do a little bit through the air on those short passes. But, yeah, I don't know. I like Hutchinson to have a strip sack, though. That is my call of this week. Dak is going down.
Yeah, I honestly think the Lions are going to blow them out. It's going to be a complete blowout.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing too, which means it's not going to happen that way. But
yeah, of course not. I just when you're coming off of a bye, that's the only thing that gets. And plus, they just had to play against that really rough Steelers team that and it was a dogfight. They played out into 1 a.m. To the end of the game. All signs are pointing to this being a letdown game for the Cowboys. So I'm heavy on the Lions this week.
Me too.
All right. Last game in the late window, Falcons-Panthers. Joe, Kirk Cousins is back. This is a bad week. This is a bad week to be named Josh Hall. And thank God he's not on this podcast because boy, was it rough, I'm sure, for him watching Kirk throw for 500 yards in this offense. He still probably would come up with some excuse as to why it didn't matter, it didn't count, it's never going to happen again, it was a one-time thing, like yada, 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 yada. But what me and you both know, Drake London is the one. This is exactly the Drake London that we thought we were going to see the entire time. He looked like effing Cooper Kupp out there. He played like him. It was fantastic to watch. I loved every second of it. Darnell Mooney is the perfect 2 on this team. I'm so glad that he's being like a reclamation project here. Kyle Pitts is very useful on this team too. Again, another guy that a lot of people wrote off. It's good to see him back and involved. So those are all 3 good starts. Don't start Kadero Hodge or Ray McLeod. I get it, but don't. Just don't. Just please don't. Kirk is obviously good to go. And then we get to the running backs, Joe. And
this is the week.
I just continue to be underwhelmed by these guys, but if they can't do it this week, Bijan, I'm talking about mostly. Algier would be nice to see him come back too, but at least Bijan doesn't come back. It's time to start a dialogue. I'm just saying. He's got one more chance in my book. One more.
He won't let you down here. I mean, Carolina's given up 9 rushing touchdowns in 5 weeks. If he doesn't get one this week.
One more chance.
I don't know. Every defense that Bijan has faced this year is a top 13 run defense.
Oh, for the love of God.
Every single one. He's finally getting his schedule opening up. He's a fantastic buy low right now. And we're going to see Bij to the house.
Okay. I'm proud of you for sticking with your convictions. It's one of the things I love about you, Joe, but man, it's got to be tough having him on your team.
It is. I beat myself up for keeping him over Gibbs, even though I think that was the right decision when I made it. Now I'm like, damn. Oh, Carolina. What do you do with Carolina, man? Chuba looks real good. Chuba's getting the work. You're starting Chuba. Atlanta's got a tough defense, so watch out with that. Deontay Johnson, he's doing that little no practice on Wednesday, and he's good to go on the weekend, so I wouldn't be worried about that DMP this week. Start Deontay Johnson. If they're going to beat this game or beat this team, they have to have him. And then Xavier Legette's fine. He got a little banged up in the Bears game. I don't know, man. I loved what we saw out of Legette 2 weeks ago. Didn't see it as much last week. So I'm not rushing to get him in my lineup at all, but it'd be good to have him on your bench for the stretch run. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's Chuba and Deontay. If you're starting Andy Dalton, Godspeed, soldier. I still don't believe it's a thing.
That's fair. I think the Falcons win this game. Yeah. Kirk's not going to throw for 500, but
no, Kirk might throw 5 passes next week or on Sunday.
For your sake, Joe, you're going to have to hope he does.
But I hope it for Bijan. I do like Mooney though, Ruger. I know I said earlier I like him. Kirk will throw more.
That's true. Ruger says I'm giving Brees and Bijan one more week. Yeah. I don't see the thing though that's good is about Brees is he's still the 13th best running back right now. Problem with Bijan is he's below David Montgomery, Devon Achane, and Jahmyr Gibbs, all of which have had a bye week or didn't play a week, and he's still below them.
I mean, we're picking and choosing our numbers here a little bit.
Jahmyr Gibbs is 14, Devon Achane 16, David Montgomery 17, Bijan's 19.
All of which have had monster games.
Fair enough. I would love to see Bijan have a monster game. It'd be nice to see.
This will be
He's had 6 opportunities so far, and he hasn't. So it's unfortunate to see. I'm not picking and choosing anything. Those guys haven't played
top 15 run defenses, Bill.
Those guys have played one less game than Bijan. Is the point I was making there.
I like it. I'll respect it. It's not
Just
overruled.
trying to get under your skin a little bit, Joe. All right,
I
on to the
love it,
Bengals
man.
Giants. Giants are the Sunday night football game. Giants, Joe, let us pour your heart out for Malik Neighbors.
Well, he's still not fucking practicing full. So he's still in the protocol. So God, man. Cincinnati's not really stopping anyone. They lost Dax Hill to an ACL injury. So give me Malik Neighbors. Pray for his health. He will be there, and he's going to go right back to being the number one fantasy wide receiver. So love Malik Neighbors. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's getting fed the football. So keep playing him, especially in a PPR. Man, that's just a cheat code in a PPR. And then the running backs. Wow. Singletary did not practice today, or if he did, it was limited. Still worried he might not make it back. Tyrone Tracy looked fantastic. Absolutely was just unstoppable. So I think when Singletary comes back, you're going right into a split backfield. I don't think you just hand it back to Singletary after what you saw from Tracy. So that's my only concern there. If Singletary misses, you're firing Tracy. Cincinnati, they're okay against running backs, but they're not going to stop anybody. But my only concern is when they're both there, what do you do?
Do you trust Slayton, or was he just good because Neighbors wasn't there?
That was the apple of Daniel Jones' eye. Was taking a rest week for his brain injury, and Slayton just happened to be there. That was the extent of that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of caveats to go to this. I did actually kind of like how they looked last week, and that was without Singletary and Neighbors. I kind of liked the offense a little bit, and I'm kind of in on the Giants might be good at football. Yeah. If you think back some of their losses, they lost against the Bengals, and that was because it was the Commanders. They didn't have a field goal kicker. They actually just lost against the Cowboys, but that was down to the wire. They lost week 1 against the Vikings, which apparently is one of the hardest teams in the NFL to beat right now because they're undefeated. So the Giants actually might be better than some of the teams in the NFC East right now. I'm just going to say that. And it's not the Commanders. Not going to say it out loud because I know Josh will probably appear from behind me or something and bust through this wall and take me down. But I think that I think that maybe the Giants and the Eagles are on the same level of playing right now.
I mean, the way the Eagles have been playing down to their opponents, yeah, I can absolutely see it. I just wanted, since we're bringing up Josh, I mean, I said Daniel Jones might not be the worst fantasy football quarterback to have in a 2 QB league, and he still hasn't let me live that down. So it's good to see him actually playing football.
Yeah, I think you're actually right. Anyway, on to the Bengals. Joe Burrow is trying his hardest to win these football games, but his defense is just swinging double doors of a saloon, so he can't. Jamar Chase, thanks for showing up. 200 yards. I mean, Jesus Christ, calm down, man. T. Higgins, glad to have you back and playing football too. That's fun to see. That's probably about it. I don't really trust these running backs. One of them's going to fall into the end zone. It's going to be Chase Brown or Zach Moss. You never know who it's going to be. They don't really get enough receiving work to make it worthwhile. I mean, they each got 3 catches last week, but I mean, whatever. They didn't go for anything big or didn't merely mean anything. Chase Brown did catch a touchdown, I guess, but whatevs. So I think I'm Burrow, Higgins, Chase, and then Gesicki if you need a tight end. But other than that, I think that you're good on this team right now.
Yeah. So if Zach Moss doesn't play, how high are you putting Chase Brown? Because I'm having a really hard time.
So that's a good question. If Zach Moss does miss the game, I do think Chase Moss is a must start because I think if you honed them into one person, that running back is going to be top 12. I really think that. But if they're separated back into the 2 guys, I don't think either of them alone is going to be good enough because this Giants defense is actually pretty darn good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's leading the league in yards after contact. I'm just having a really hard time not just being starting him over Jordan Mason if Moss doesn't play. I mean, I think the decision has to be there for Robinson and Brian Robinson. And hell, the way you're talking, maybe Bijan too, but
nah, we'll see.
I love Chase Brown. I
I
love Zach Moss, and I hope his ankle's okay. I don't want anyone to be in pain, but please sit this one out. I got to see a full game of Chase Brown.
It would be nice because I do like Chase Brown, but it's just, when you have somebody siphoning off part of your work, it's just tough to get, anything going. I think the Giants are going to win this football game. I really do.
Like Giants here. I'm going to go with the Bengals just because of that offense, but you could tell me the Giants are going to win, and I wouldn't fight you there.
I think the Giants are a good football team. They're missing a quarterback that's consistent, but as a whole, like group of football players, I think this is a solid team. And I think they showed that last week against the Seahawks. And again, they're like I know that you can say this about every team, so I'm not trying to say it that loudly, but a few things away from being 4-1 potentially right now. But
yeah,
whatever. That's football. All right, on to the Monday Night Football game. This is going to be an unmitigated disaster for one of these two teams. I don't know which one's going to be yet, but the Bills versus the Jets. So, Joe, tell us about the Bills.
The Bills. Whoever the hell let Josh Allen continue to play football last week, shame on you. He got absolutely
He was clearly concussed. Clearly concussed.
Yeah. So he's fine, quote unquote, fine. So obviously you're starting Josh Allen. James Cook missed practice today. He's dealing with a toe injury. I don't know, that turf toe with running backs can be a little bit funky. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more Ray Davis this week than we have in the past. If James Cook were to miss, Ray Davis is a solid fill-in. Of course, it's against the Jets defense. So I wouldn't get overly excited or try to rush him into my lineup, but it is an option. Khalil Shakir didn't practice, but he is an awesome possum if he plays. He plays a game where these defensive backs for the Jets are not going to be shutting him down. So it's awesome. I mean, he does not rely on the deep ball. He catches that over the middle. It's going to be really good there. So I do like Khalil Shakir a lot this week. I think it spells disaster for Keon Coleman. Even if Shakir sits, I think he's going to get pretty locked down. It's going to be a welcome to the league type situation. And then Dalton Kincaid obviously is in your lineup.
Yeah, I can't disagree more. I don't disagree there. I do think the Jets are in flux this week. They lost a coach, and now they're on Monday Night Football, so all eyes are going to be on them. Aaron Rodgers, he threw 54 times last week, so I'm sure his arthritis might flare up a little this week. Just kidding. He's old, so arthritis, whatever. Bad joke. Garrett Wilson, it's good to see him getting 23 targets in a football game. Holy bleep. Where did that come from? I guess the mandate was, hey, throw it to Garrett Wilson at all costs. I don't hate it. As a Garrett Wilson guy, I don't hate it at all. The problem is he only caught 13 of those 23 targets. So would love to see that number be more like 18 for 23, but whatever. Here we go. 23 targets, Joe. I hope this is the plan every week. If so, Garrett Wilson, owners, managers out there, everything's about to pay off for you. Tyler Conklin, I like it a lot. I think he's a good bye week fill-in. I think he might be a good starter. Would love to see him get in the end zone, but I will take anybody who's getting 9 targets as a tight end. I love it. Alan Lazard and Mike Williams, I think it's just going to be a week-to-week thing. I still think that Garrett Wilson needs to be more involved than Alan Lazard. In any game that Alan Lazard is more involved than Garrett Wilson, it just spells disaster for the team. But this Bills defense has kind of been no joke. So this is kind of the week where you need your good players to play really good. So I'm going with Garrett Wilson. I'm liking Tyler Conklin. Running backs wise, we're going to need more from Breece Hall. I hate that we're here right now, but this is just getting too much that we're not being better with the ball right now. But Breece Hall, you got to start him. You drafted him 1 or 2 overall, and you have to live with your consequences and your choices. Could be worse. Could have Christian McCaffrey. He's not playing. So if you didn't have 1 or 2, the other person that drafted is probably in a worse spot than you because they haven't had their player yet. So you got to start him. And then Braylon Allen, I still think is good as a flex. It wasn't really that useful last week, and this week he's going to be tough as well. But I just really like some of the runs he has, Joe. I believe in it sometimes. I believe in it.
Yeah, it works every time he touches the ball. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing the ceremonial benching that reminder I got for Breece Hall. Just send a message because he's got to be better.
I hate saying it because, like, I'm telling you, I was giving some of the trade offers I sent. I'm glad those will never leak to the public because some of the trades I was sending for Breece Hall before this season would scare a small child. And I'm glad they weren't accepted because the person sent back, obviously, well, I feel him as Dynasty RB1, so no, I don't want this trade. It's like, thank God you said that. Thank God, because
I know who you're talking about. And he gave me the exact same thing.
My team would be in utter shambles right now if that was not the answer that I got. So thank God for, me dodging that mistake. I actually think the Bills are going to win this game. I would love to see the Jets win because I want competitiveness, but I just like how the Bills are rolling.
Yeah, I like how the Bills are rolling too. We've seen it a million times where the coach gets fired and the team rallies. So I like the Jets this
I know.
week, I think.
We're probably honestly, you know what? You're right. You're exactly right. That's exactly what's going to happen. Jets are definitely going to win. It's the old coach gets fired.
Game. It's at home. It's Monday night. I think it's a game for the.
I would love for them to score more than 24 points in a football game. More than 24 challenged, which should be the Jets motto. Just throw up a 30 burger just one time.
It's probably gonna be like 11-12 this game. I don't even think they get to 24.
It could be just that confusing. All right, before we get out of here, Rougarou has a question for you, Joe. Mooney or Breece Hall?
Why you gotta do that to me, Rug? I'm starting Breece. Philly's right. You drafted him to be your one. You're playing him. I don't know. There's no way I can sit Breece. The thought has crossed my mind in a couple leagues. It's just I got to keep riding with it.
See, what's funny for me is I told you and Josh this before the season is I only had one league where I got to draft within the top 3 picks. And I didn't get any Breece or Christian McCaffrey, and I was so mad about it to you guys via text. And thank God, I literally dodged the 2 biggest bullets in fantasy right now because of just bad drafting luck, I guess, on the randomizer.
Dude, in the Kings Classic, I got Breece at 6, and I was just like, "How are these guys letting me get Breece at 6? What the hell?" Ha ha ha! And then it bites me in the ass. So
they all knew, Joe. They all
knew. Bunch of smart fellas in that room.
They sure are. All right. Well, that's week 6. If you don't get a win next week, Joe, I feel like we should come in here and just talk about how to fix some teams. Like if you're 0-6, 1-5, 2-4 after this week, I feel like we need to do some therapy for those folks. So we might do that next week.
You need to go under the hood and see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. We need to pop the hood, if you will. Kind of see what's going on with the engine and the carburetor and all that of your fantasy football teams. But all right, Joe. Well, that's all we got for this week. Get us out of here.
All right. Good night, Rug, and good night, world.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.